join us for a couple hours to learn about the treasurer position for your club and the district. I'd just like to introduce a couple people. Sheena, you can do the next screen. The next slide is the Zonta International Treasurer is Mari McKenzie. She is from the Zonta Club of Saginaw in District 15. She's serving her second term as the Treasurer Secretary for Zonta International. The Zonta International District 4 Treasurer is Nancy Peacock. You can do the next screen. She is from the Zonta Club at Cheektowaga, Lancaster, and you will be hearing from her. She'll be the one sending you paperwork when membership dues are due with the United States, the tax funds filings. That's who you will be hearing from is Nancy Peacock. And our presenter this evening from the district is our finance chair, Carol Spedding. She is a controller. She was a controller for over 24 years in the automotive accounting. She has specific expertise in training, office positions, and developing office staff to operate efficiently and to provide good internal and external controls. She, in 2006, was employed as an accountant for a construction company and worked in that industry for 10 years. She was responsible for accounting, sales, and tax reporting, and responsible for installing and maintaining the accounting module on the computer. She's been married to her husband, Jim, for 48 years. They have a daughter, Jennifer, and two grandsons, Ray and Jack, that live in the area of Lockport. She is currently also president of her club. She's a former Area 3 director, past president, and past treasurer of her club. She's also a master gardener and spends most of her time gardening and volunteers at a couple of local gardens. I would now like to hand it over to Carol, and welcome to the presentation.
Thank you, Janice, and thank you, Sheena, for monitoring. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, your mics are off. I'm sorry.
I can hear you, Carol. So
Okay.
if anybody does have problems, they can just let us know.
And I appreciate you telling me your background and experience. I've done this on a basic level so that beginners should be able to follow along, and I hope it's not boring for the people that have the experience. As you know, the treasurer is responsible for the funds of the club and shall administer them in accordance with the approved club budgets. The treasurer shall make periodic reports to the board and the club and be an ex officio member of the finance committee. The treasurer shall turn all records over to her successor no later than 45 days after the term of office ends. That's the definition of treasurer from our club manuals. And it pretty much sums up what your duties are. I've broken down your duties into monthly and annually, just to make it easy for you. Monthly, you want to pay all approved bills in accordance with your budget. You want to reconcile all bank accounts monthly and produce a monthly treasurer's report reflecting the accurate recording of monies collected and dispersed. You want to report to club members via email or printing. And monthly reporting is in line with generally accepted accounting principles. Now, I know International changed the wording to periodic, and I don't know what their intention with that is, but I do suggest every club does it monthly, and that someone else in the club has access to the bank account, that you have dual signers, and that you have two people that have access to the account so that you can check to make sure that the monthly statements actually agree with the banking accounts. Okay. If your club is a 501c4, which ours is, it's qualified as a civic league and social welfare organization, you want to post entries to your general ledger and keep your general and funds separate from your service funds. If you're a foundation, a 501c3, all service funds should flow through your foundation accounts. Since the foundation is a separate entity, it's important to keep separate bank accounts and if possible, have a separate treasurer. You want to review your purchases and sales of goods to see if it's necessary to pay or collect New York or PA sales tax, and in Canada, your PST, your GST, and HST. In the US, just note that being organized and operated as a non-for-profit does not by itself qualify an organization as a sales tax exempt organization. That's a separate filing, and I suggest that if you haven't, you really should look at the publication 843. It's a guide to sales tax in New York State for exempt organizations. And you can also find information in PA on www.revenue.pa.gov, forms and publications. And I don't know, again, if you're going to be a sales tax exempt, even though you're 501c3, you need to apply for a sales tax exempt status in New York. You want to keep your membership list up to date and report to Zana International, to report to District 4 Lieutenant Governor and D4 Communications. That reporting allows them to get emails and such from the governor and I'm sorry, communications. You also want to, as you monthly, submit any new member dues to Zana International and Zana District 4. Okay, now that I've listed what I just told you about the PA and New York sales tax in that slide there. Next, if you go to slide number 4, I'll show there's a sample treasurer's report. The next slide. Okay. I don't know if you can read this, if it's blurry on your screen or not, but this is what we use for our club. As you see, there's a receipt date and receipt number if you're using a receipt book. And the next column, I would normally put the person's name in here. And then the next column used for a description. And then the next column, you would put the amount that you recorded. And if you look down at the total receipts, that will coincide with your deposits for from your bank statement, if all is well. And then your disbursements, same thing. You have your date, your check number, who you wrote the check to, and what it was for, and the amounts. And again, those disbursements will tie in with your bank statements, and so that your ending balance should be your ending balance in the checking account. And on here, you also want, if you have other accounts, you can include them as well. And again, if you have a foundation, you could use this as a sample monthly treasurer's report. This report, you can cut and paste. If you want to go to the next slide, should be the receipts. Okay, you can paste your receipts to these portions of that, and they'll automatically fill in your first 5 columns until you see that solid line. And then those deposits should agree with your monthly banking account statement. And then you want to post the other corresponding entries. For example, the first line is dues, so you want to post it to your dues account. And at the end of the year, as you can see, it totals down to the bottom. I'm sorry, it doesn't show on here, but there are totals. And those totals will flow to your cash receipt summary. If you want to go to your next slide, please. Okay, and that summarizes the year. And as you see there on the left, you can see there's codes B, B, A. It's not an eye chart, it's actual codes that flow through to our general ledger. And that just segregates the different funds, which again keeps our, if you go to the, I'll show you the next slide. I'm getting feedback from somewhere. The next slide, we do the same thing for cash disbursements. You can cut and paste from your monthly report, and that'll fill in the first columns, and then you post to the corresponding account on the far right. You can't, it cuts off here, but we actually have the general funds separate from the service funds. The first several columns are for the general funds, and the remaining columns are for our service accounts. And then you're gonna, at the end of the year, again, it'll total. If you wanna go to the next slide. It summarizes your cash disbursements. This again allows you to see what funds it's going to. And it also, it's easy to pick up, if you look on there, it's very easy to pick up any irregularities, can easily be spotted. If you, now you wanna go to the next slide, and it should be the general ledger. There you go. And again, this all ties to your general ledger. This template is on the website, as Sheena indicated earlier. And we've got it separated for the first 3 accounts are the accounts in our bank accounts. And then the underneath accounts, A, B, C, D, E. A would be our fund balance, unrestricted general, a fund balance for restricted. We have restrictions that we save money for conference and conventions. Can only be used for that. And then the C, D, and E are our service accounts. And as you can see, these, when you post to these accounts and they tie to this, it tells you what accounts it's going to go flow to, either B being the restricted general, B to B, and so on. And they're all linked that way. Like I said, if you want to use this template, you're more than welcome to use it, and I can walk you through using it. It's just something we've used over the years, and it has come in handy. From this, we'll go on later. Let's see. And I think it's, for those that know Excel, it's pretty self-explanatory, and if you don't, you're probably better off using what you're currently using. Okay, next. Slide 11. Okay, these are your annual duties, and with the Finance Committee, you want to draft and present the club budgets to the club board and membership. Excuse me, I need that. Again, this will involve keeping the general budget and the service budget separate. And if you have a foundation account, you will also want to do that separately. You want to submit a written report of the club's annual financial position at the end of the meeting, at your annual meeting, I'm sorry. And submit your new member dues to Zana internationally annually if you don't do it throughout the year. You're going to use member report form B, which is slide 16, if you could go to that. No, that's
Sorry, Carol.
sorry.
How far do I have to go ahead?
Oh, I thought you could see the numbers. I'm sorry. Never mind. You have to see. I thought they were numbered like in the, I'm sorry.
No.
We'll go through the forms at the end then. We can just do that. We go back to, okay. Submitting new audits. That's, can you go back a little bit?
Oh, sorry about that.
Next, previous slides, okay. There we go, thank you. Okay. Submitting your dues to Zana International can be done on the member, whoops, back to where you were.
There's about a 5-second delay.
Oh, there we go. Okay, submitting your dues to Zana International can be done on member report form B if you're writing a check, or you can do them online. And I've got the step-by-step here. I don't know if anybody had issues trying to do dues online this year, but it was different. And you want to do that by June 1st. And there's a little blue box on the right-hand side that says My Zana. You want to click on that, enter your email address and password to log in. And then you want to go down to Tools, Member, and then next Membership Dues Tools, then next Pay Dues Online, and then next you want to hit Manage Club. And that's going to show you all your members, and then you can decide whether you need to update their information, or I don't know if in your club each of your members do that. In our club they don't. traditionally do that. So I try to go in there and update as I know people come and go, or if they move. Then you click on Pay Dues Online, Manage Club Roster. In here, you can add new members or go to the next step if you're not adding new members. And then the screen will show new members and unpaid members. And then click Next again, and the screen shows previous members that you may want to reinstate. If not, just go to Next again and show all the members that you are paying. And you can confirm and pay, or if you don't like what you see, you can. The one good thing I found about it is you can click on Previous, and it will keep going to Previous. So if you want to go back to edit something, you can. Once you've paid your Zana International dues, you want to submit your donations to the International Foundation. And you can do this throughout the year. Our club traditionally tends to do it in April and May, just because that's when we know what all of our funds are. You want to submit your district dues by June 1st. And again, later on, I thought you could jump around, I'm sorry. There's a dues transmittal form in there. We'll go through the forms later. And again, Nancy is now the treasurer, so she'll be sending you the information. And also something to note that new is to make sure that members have signed a consent form. Make sure you do that before you go on and send their name to Zana International. Filing taxes with the IRS is done annually too. If you're a 501c4, your gross receipts are less than $50,000, you may file a 990N, which is an e-postcard online. It's pretty easy. It's due by the 15th day of the 5th month of the fiscal year end. And then a 990EZ can be filed with gross receipts of less than $200,000 and assets less than $500,000 at the end of the tax year. If you're a 501c3, generally, tax-exempt organizations must file an annual information return form 990 or Form 990EZ. And most small tax-exempt organizations, if your annual gross receipts are normally $50,000 or less, can satisfy their annually reporting requirements by electronically submitting a 990. And if they choose to file a 990 or Form 990EZ. Now, I apologize, but I don't know Canadian regulations, so I don't want to go there. Next screen. We can go back to your sample budgets. I can explain this is the next slide. Keep going. Okay, general operating budget. This is again what you're going to do at your annual meeting, and you can do.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So are we supposed to ask questions when you bring up something that we don't understand, or wait till the end?
Either way, it's up to you.
Okay.
I can click off.
Can you talk more about the consent form, because I haven't heard of that?
Okay, I didn't. That's the only form I did not put on file. It's on Zana International's website, www.zana.org, and it's a consent form that there's a template there that you can use to put your club's name and information in. And then what it is a consent form to use their likeness and on the web, so that anybody that you take a picture of and you post it to your website or whatnot, they've given you permission to use their likeness. And that is a question when you pay your dues that you answer now for Zana International. I don't know if you've come across that or not, but they want you to check the box that all the, in fact, I think on the membership reporting form, or when you pay your dues, I know it's on the form that you want to check the box that all your members have signed a consent form. Did that answer your question?
And what if they don't sign it?
You don't check it. I wouldn't lie and I wouldn't check it.
Right.
And,
yeah. I mean, has it happened?
I honestly don't know. I don't know if anybody's had that unchecked and if Zana's gotten back to them. That's a good question. I can write down and find out.
This is Eileen from Olean, and we had to have consent forms at the YMCA when I worked there. And if someone refused to sign or didn't want their likeness used, all the management had to know about that, and no picture would be posted with that person in it. I don't know if that helps, but that's the way it was handled with us.
I assume if someone refuses to sign it, you wouldn't post their likeness, but I don't know if they haven't signed a form, if, you know, what that means. But yes, if they refuse to sign it, some people just, you know, you got to ask them twice for some information. Sheena, are you aware of what?
This is something that I just honestly became aware of this past year. Why it's coming through the finance area is because of the membership Form B reporting who your members are and things like that. And it's a way of, I guess, streamlining the process to do it all in one step. So the idea, I assume, I'm kind of still checking into this, is that if you do not sign, then Zonta International and your club cannot use your image on the website. So for example, on our District 4 website, if you did not sign that, then the treasurer then would have to extend that information to D4 Communications, as well as your club, knowing that your picture could not be posted. So if you were in a picture of a group, that your club could not send that image to Zonta District 4 or Zonta International to be used. But again, if you don't tell people, then we don't know. So there is a bit of an illness on that person to follow up and ensure that the appropriate people know. And it's just more of those policies so that should you decide you don't want your picture posted, Zonta International does post it, you've gone through all the steps, then they have the responsibility of not posting. Does that answer some of the questions, Donna?
Yeah, I think it does.
So again,
we usually do, you know, for like events and things like that, we'll get consent forms.
And that's what our club has done as well, or I've always implemented that kind of a situation. I was not aware of the sign-off form. I believe it came into effect the last biennium. I'm not a treasurer, and the treasurer didn't let me know, and I'm kind of on communications at my own club. So I don't believe a lot of clubs are aware of it. And I'm going to say at this point, it's just probably coming into being communicated to the club. So I think maybe it was a bit of a grace period. So,
so do members have to sign it every year or just once?
That will be each year whenever your treasurer sends in your forms. Is it Form B that it's on?
I thought it was on, I don't.
Whatever form that's sent
it's not in. On Form B, it's actually on the form when you pay your dues, the invoice when you pay your dues. So it's on that form.
Yeah, so it will be a bi-yearly, whenever you do your dues, it will be on that form then.
So
the only
given the current situation where we're not actually seeing each other,
right?
Do we still have to have paper signed, or can I have people email me their consent, or how does that work? Because this is going to be a logistic issue.
I would think as long as you can get a paper copy of it, if they can email it to you, and you can even electronically or print it, as long as you have it on file, that you can say that this person's waived their, you know, rights. I don't see an issue.
Does it have to be the form, or can I just?
Oh, I see what you're
saying. You know what I mean? Or can I send the form out and say, please email me back your consent, you know, written consent?
I personally would want a form. I don't know. I personally would want a form, because then you know what they're consenting to. Otherwise, they're saying they're consenting, but is the wording correct? Is is it going to be viable?
Janice, would you like to speak
Let
on
me,
this?
let me clarify my question. I'll send them the form. Do they have to sign that and send that image back, or can they just email me and say, yeah, I'm good?
Janice?
What most clubs do these forms in the beginning of their year, so it's a blanket for anything that they do. And then when it comes time for dues, those are handed, the treasurer knows that information. So when she puts you in through your membership to check off all the members in the club, she knows that that form has been signed. You can do it electronically where you can just download the form. They can they can fill it in and then send it back to you and write their name. And that is giving you permission that they have signed it themselves. Or if they feel more comfortable, they can mail it by postal if that's what they feel more comfortable doing. But them filling out the form, sending it in, signing, signing their name, typing their name in, that is giving their permission that they're signing the form.
We good? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on, we're looking right now back to the general operating budget. Does anybody else have any other questions before we go on? Okay, I just want to make sure we're not backtracking again. Okay, so the general operating budget here is, as I said, separated from our service budget. My first column obviously shows the different accounts, and then the second column was the budget that was approved by the club. And then the general ledger will pull here monthly to show you in the second column the various accounts and where you are at. You can also go through and estimate where you intend to be at the end of the year. For example, if you know you're going to pay your buy directories next month and they're going to cost you $100, you can plug that in or whatever. And then it shows you the variance of where you actually are versus where you budgeted. And then that allows you to compile a proposed budget for your following year. It's just, again, it's a sheet on that general ledger template that Sheena downloaded to the website. And that it just works for us, and it's pretty easy going, pretty easy to use. Next slide. Again, same thing with the service budget. The accounts first are in the first column. The approved budget is in the second column, and then the actual pulls from the general ledger. Those are actual amounts, and then we can go through anytime during the year and estimate and see where we're going to be at the end of the year and show our variance in the following column. And then when it comes time to do the next year's budget, you can go through and adjust to where you want to be. Okay, next slide. There's a member report form. Again, that's the form you want to use just if you've never seen it before for new members. Okay, and the next slide. That's an additional page if you have a flush of new members. And again, these can be done throughout the years, and for half years, your dues are less than a full year's dues. Next. And this is the dues transmittal form. I'm sure Nancy will change it. This was Marcia's. I don't have one yet for Nancy, but that's just to give you an idea what it looks like. And next. Okay. As needed, you want to ensure that all authorized signers of the club are on file with the bank. You want to submit new member dues to Zana International and District 4 as members join your club. And you want to send new member information to the Lieutenant Governor and the D4 Communications. Maintain financial records retention for 7 years. That's a US thing. I'm not sure Canadians. I apologize, but I don't know. Review all policy and club activities with the new treasurer within 45 days of the new treasurer assuming office. Okay, next. Okay, these are procedures to minimize theft and embezzlement. Regular monthly and financial reports, we talked about that. Reconcile bank accounts monthly to the bank statement. Have 2 signatures on checks and bank statements, and then I should say a minimum of 2 signatures on checks and bank statements. Be alert to frauds and embezzlement by, again, reviewing the accounts, not only monthly, but someone should be going online and checking, excuse me, the bank balances to make sure they're actually what is being reported. You want to check your cash disbursements regularly, which means reviewing the invoices just periodically. Someone in the club should review the invoices and make sure that they're actually checks are corresponding to the checks written were corresponding to the invoices. Do not accept repeat or late, entirely missing financial reporting or bank recs. Investigate anything you think that seems odd, and it might not be theft. The person might not just be aware she's doing something wrong, so it never hurts to ask the question. If there's a club foundation, it should have its own treasurer. Have 2 people handle cash at events. And again, sometimes these things are hard, but you're encouraged to do this if possible. Encourage online credit card donations. Have club books reviewed annually. Reviews on those risk management sheet, which is the next slide. And this is only the first page. It's a 2-sided page. I put the first page up just so you can get an idea of what it looks like. And pretty much that's it. It's a short presentation. I don't know if anybody has any additional questions. Feel free.
I have a question to ask.
Certainly.
Ann Dillon from Owen Sound. I'm just on the website and I'm looking for the Excel spreadsheets. I haven't come across them. Can you tell me where to find them?
They are not, hi Ann, it's Sheena. They're not on the website yet. They will be posted. You give me a few days to be able to take the presentation, get it into the right format, and be able to post it onto the website. Where you will be able to find it originally will be under the online learning webpage, where you've kind of gone in and registered. That main page, I've been putting the YouTube videos of the recorded presentation there and any accompanying forms. In the future, going forward, it will be under club business, where you will be able to find this. So it will probably end up being under two places, but originally under the online learning.
Okay, the other question is this sample risk management checklist on International's website?
Correct.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
So there was a statement about sending new member info to the Lieutenant Governor and D4 Communications. How do we do that?
D4 Communications is Sheena, help.
That's all right. Yes. We're asking that so that we have first of all, the reason behind having the D4 Communications have the information so that we can have accurate email addresses for any of our mail outs. So for example, the e-news, which has a wealth of information, not only coming from clubs and what their events are, but also of what the governor's letters are and any club, any committee information. That is to communications with an S at Zonta District 4 and with a number 4.org is the email address.
Can you type that into the chat, please?
Yes, I can. And
so, why are they not just pulling it from the Zonta International website when we're maintaining it there?
Because we have people who are updating their email addresses and not updating Zont International. So for example,
Shouldn't that be fixed instead of having separate places to send the emails to?
at this point in time, this is the easiest method for us to have accurate information. As well as if anybody in your club should happen to change their email address, again, forwarding the information to us. Right now, Zont International and District 4, it's not a streamlined communication. So if you change your address, it comes to us directly. We only get updates every once in a while. So this is to make it as immediate as possible. Sorry if it takes a bit of time.
And Sheena, where can we check to make sure that you have at D4 the right information?
Well, basically, it's what whoever the person is sending in the information, whether it's your membership chair, whether it's your treasurer, I'm going to say it's your membership chair. That's the person, whatever they've sent in last is what we have on file. I guess the basic way to notice if we do have your correct email address is if you are getting the e-news. That goes out. Sandra Cronk will be revising our e-news listing and distribution file and putting everyone back on. So if you do not get an e-news, say by September, then contact membership and the communications, Lieutenant Governor and communications, that you're not receiving the e-news. That e-news, you can unsubscribe by it. We recommend that you don't. We try to send out the information without overwhelming people, sending out kind of important information. And we were quite surprised that certain people had removed themselves from the list in the last biennium, such as presidents. Not sure why, but we suggest that at least somebody in your club be receiving those e-newses and communicating it to the club members. So I apologize if that sounds kind of chaotic, that you're being asked to send membership information to a number of people, but at this point in time, we're not all connected as we possibly should be. So I apologize.
So, for our club, because we had so many new members,
yep.
Can I just send you the list and just to make sure?
That would be wonderful. That would actually be
I can do that.
The easiest way for any club is to send their membership roster to the Lieutenant Governor, Governor, and D4 Communications. And I'm actually just typing in now the addresses. So if somebody else wants to continue on, unless you have another question.
I'm good.
My information is on the last slide if anybody wants to contact me. Once the templates are up, just to see how they do work, feel free. And just to warn you, I have a spam blocker on my email so that if it doesn't look like it's going through, I will look at it. If you just reference GL template in the subject line, that way I'll know to let you through.
Does anybody else have any questions? We also, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I didn't see it in the chat, but I needed to scroll down, so now I see those addresses. Thank you.
We also sent the Treasurer's Guide that is from May 2020. It's the new D4 Treasurer's Guide, which will help treasurers too. It does review a lot of the things that Carol has presented today in a shorter form, in a little less detail, but it's there for your reference. And it also has in the back, as you looked at it, that it is a working document. So when things change, they will change. But all the websites are there, and links to the forms that you will need as treasurer are also available there. If there's not any other questions that you have for Carol or anybody else, I do appreciate you spending your time with us. I hope that it was something that you can take away, some good information for your clubs and your and for yourself too. If you have any suggestions or comments, if you could let us know. I do have it just going to my generic email, and it's governor@zontadistrict4.org. I missed the Zonta when I was typing it in for the slide. Sheena has it in the chat. I know that Carol has given us a lot of information. I've never been treasurer of the Zonta Club, so I'm kind of glad that there is a lot of information. But your area director and your D4 treasurer, Nancy, and Carol, they're all here to help you. If you have any questions, everybody in the district is willing to get an answer for you. You can, email me if I don't know the answer. I will ask one of Carol or Nancy the question to get your answer to you for the treasurer. And then you have also the D4 Treasurer's Guide. Just a little bit, just two little advertisements before we convene for the evening. There's a couple upcoming things in the District 4. We have the D4 Reading Group, which we're changing the name to Books and Beverages, and that is on August 11th. And that is the book we are going to be reviewing is Half the Sky by Cheryl Wudunn. And she was one of the speakers that Zonta International had a few weeks ago. I encourage everyone to participate. The books that we do are books with Zonta's mission and vision. If you don't get to finish the book or you just want to sit in and listen, that's great. It's it's very low key, very easygoing group with our discussion. You can just listen if that's how you want to do, but we encourage you to come and sit in with us and join us for the evening. And then on August 15th, we have our 4th e-learning, and that is going to be membership with Lieutenant Governor and Membership Chair Sheena Poole, and she'll be doing that with her membership committee. So I encourage you when that comes up online to sign up for that. Those two will also be in the e-news it will go to every member in the district. So I encourage you to do those two things too. And I thank Carol for her time and the effort that she put in and all her work and effort for it.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And that's all I have. If anybody has anything else, feel free to ask, share.
I have something to say. I think that D4 and Zonta International have done a terrific job over the last months of COVID, presenting a lot of e-learning, webinars, and I've tried to participate in as many as I could, and I really feel that it has added to my Zonta experience. That's it.
Good to know.
Agreed.
I have as well, and it's nice to think that you're online with people all over the world. So it's just not a few people from our district, which is international. It's kind of nice that way, but being global, it's a different experience.
Yes, it is.
And I have one other thing. Congratulations, Janice and Sheena. And
Yes.
we're gonna have a good 2 years if we ever get up unincarcerated.
One step forward, 3 back, I think.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a while.
So too, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Times are changing, I guess. Gotta go with it. Okay.
Well, enjoy your evening, the rest of your evening that you have, and thank you.